This is problem number 3 from section 6.4. They say determine the values of the trigonometric functions of theta, where cosecant theta is 13 over 5 and secant theta is negative 13 over 12. Now, we're going to use some of these reciprocal identities here. So we can start by saying if cosecant theta is 13 over 5, well, we know cosecant theta is 1 over sine, or we can say sine is 1 over the cosecant, meaning they're reciprocals of each other. So we can automatically write sine as 5 over 13. If we know sine is 5 over 13, well, let's go to secant then. If secant is negative 13 over 12, we also know that cosine, they are reciprocals of each other, right? Secant and cosine. So I can write cosine as negative 12 over 13. So here's the thing that I like to draw triangles. I think this is the best method. If you see that sine is 5 over 13 and cosine is negative 12 over 13, what does that really mean? Well, that means the hypotenuses are 13. And that means that sine had a positive value and cosine had a negative value. That means if we draw a triangle, because cosine always represents the x value was negative 12. The y value was 5. So this coordinate is in quadrant 2. And it had a length of negative 12 in the x and a length of 5 in the y, and its hypotenuse is 13. So we can use that to make this problem make some sense and to make it easier. When we go to tangent then, if we know that tangent is sine over cosine, right? We can take 5 over 13 and divide it by negative 12 over 13. So let's say tangent theta equals 5 over 13 divided by negative 12 over 13. That means 5 over 13 has to be multiplied by negative 13 over 12, which ends up giving you negative 5 over 12. Which, if you look at this, tangent of theta, if we just look at the triangle, tangent of theta is the opposite over the adjacent. Well, that would be 5 over negative 12, which is negative 5/12. So that's why it makes perfect sense when you use the identities along with the triangle. And finally, cotangent, we know cotangent is just a reciprocal of tangent. So we can write that as negative 12 over 5. And that's how we come up with our solutions. We look at what we've got here, we use the reciprocal identities, and then we can draw a triangle once we have sine and cosine, find out what quadrant it is, and we can come up with the other two.